Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from the Food Fitters about the Trader Joe's conspiracy. Now, I have actually no idea what to say about this, so let's just hop straight on into it. What you guys got?
Joe's, quaint neighborhood grocery store, or home to a thriving cult that offers you tasty treats in exchange for a price far, far steeper than your soul, your rent. Hello, Internet!
What?
Welcome to Food Theory, the channel that'll give you something new to discuss when the TJ's employees force you into small talk. I mean, if you don't want to discuss how addictive their 3-cheese pasta with eggplant is. Like, I know, Marley. That's why I'm buying 7 of them. Get off my eggplant, dude. But that's not even the worst part. Because no matter
Crazy.
where TJ's
That's the
goes,
point.
it spells doom for everyone around it. For those who haven't had the pleasure of fighting soccer moms for parking in the smallest, busiest parking lots in America, Trader Joe's is a
God
bit of a
dang.
unicorn in the grocery store game. They're not plagued by robotic self-checkouts, they don't have rewards programs or even sales because their prices are already so low. And they are
How low?
physically tiny. On average, they're about a fourth the size of other grocery stores. Also, while markets like Kroger and Albertsons offer zillions of name brand goods, Trader Joe's only has a handful of private label items, and a majority of their products are surprisingly unique. Like, you might be picking up Eggos for breakfast at Walmart, but at Joe's, you're picking up yourself some sweet cinnamon-filled Korean pancakes. And after you eat them,
Damn,
you will
okay,
not
that's
shut
not
up
bad.
about them. That's just how Trader Joe's works. You find something intriguing, you try it, and then presumably fall under Joe the Warlock's spell. Because now your premium isn't seasonal, because you just can't get enough of it. Or worse, it could
No, he wouldn't be a warlock. He'd be the patron. And he'd be the Eldred's patron that we
be
follow.
discontinued. R.I.P. to the snacks that get snapped. Let's be real though, getting us hooked on Brookies isn't all that sinister of a magic.
Brookies.
But unfortunately,
Well, okay.
Joe's been dabbling in the dark arts. And not only has it corrupted Joe, but some now think it's
Damn it! Who taught Joe all they doing Dembella? Who taught him that?
taking a toll on the communities he supposedly once cared for. So today, I want to unpack how Trader Joe's hypnotized us into salivating zombies, and in the process, uncover a series of unfortunate truths that might just one day break the delicious curse they have on our land. Okay, so I know
Well,
I'm
let's
leaning
find
hard
out.
into the wizard metaphor here, but if I'm being accurate, Trader Joe's branding is much more adventurer explorer code. Since its inception,
Like
TJ's has
adventure
been
is
going
out
for a
there?
vibe similar to Nathan Drake seeing Jimmy Buffett open for the 1900s World Fair. This world traveler aesthetic is in many ways not just the visual identity of the store, but the thematic springboard that launched it into popularity. As the story goes, way
All
back
right,
in
then.
1967, a man had a flash of foresight that turned him from a struggling business owner into a grocery store tycoon. Not to be confused with Spider Lab Gaming's grocery store tycoon, which are
hey.
goated. But I'll give you one guess as to what this man's name was.
I like
Lock in
tycoon
your answer
games.
by clicking the
Tycoon.
subscribe button.
Whatever.
Ready? 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Nice! Alright, let's see what we got here. Who said Seymour Butts? This is why we can't have these things. It was Joe. Alright, his name was Joe. Joe
Of
Cologne,
course.
to be exact. Back in the day,
Wait,
Joe was
Columbo?
a simple convenience store owner running 6 markets in the Los Angeles area. But he had a problem. His Pronto markets were getting absolutely proton torpedoed by 7-Eleven. So instead of competing with Slurpees and late night munchies, he hit the drawing board to develop a way to escape from his competition's sticky shadow. At the time, Joe
Alright,
had recently
got my
been on
interest.
Disney's Jungle Cruise, and he was reading a book called White Shadows in the South Seas. This made him notice that tropical gimmicks were kind of having a moment in California. Like tiki bars,
I guess
for
that
example,
makes
had been a
sense.
booming fad,
Cali.
particularly the high-end tiki hut Trader Vic's in Beverly Hills. So Joe decided to yoink Vic's branding and turn his Pasadena Pronto Market into the first Trader Joe's, a place where worldly taste can be
Okay.
affordable at home. Really, that's the reason why the store is called Trader Joe's. It's supposed to paint the picture of Joe and his crew sailing the world, trading goods, and bringing back new flavors to the States. They call
Okay.
it sailing the culinary seas. It's like One Piece, but
That's
with groceries
not bad.
and
I like
better
that.
pacing. And listen, if you're already bought into the cult and find yourself at Trader Joe's, then be smart about it with our sponsor for today, Chime. Chime is a banking
Unfortunately, there's no Trader Joe's in my area.
Owie. This nautical explorer gimmick extends to all parts of TJ's brand. Store managers are called captains, supervisors are mates, and employees are crew members. The aesthetic of the store and its
Okay, no,
products
that's not bad.
avoids that
I like that.
glossy, sterile corporate trend that other grocers share, instead evoking the feeling of visiting an open-air market at an international trade harbor. These themes
Okay, I really hope I'm not the only one, but every time I hear Captain, my brain just plays that one clip from Sea of Thieves. Well, There's that one guy that just screams, "Captain!" The captain's like, "Yeah, yeah? But look!" Look, they look over and it's just some other ship barreling at them at the fastest possible speeds. And the captain's like, "Oh no! No, 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 no! We have so much shit, guys!"
Of exploration or
I hope I'm not the only one.
You, the customer. Did you find that hidden gem of a snack? Did you try a new food you didn't even know existed? Good. You're not shopping for groceries. You're a treasure hunter bringing home a bounty of flavor. And a huge reason why Joe put all his chips on red, white, and floral had to do with the potential he saw in the evolving tastes of the era. One big factor was the GI Bill of Rights, which gave military service members the opportunity to have their higher education subsidized by Uncle Sam. His 10 years of running Pronto Market taught him that educated consumers were open to trying new flavors, and thanks to the GI Bill, this demo was only growing. He also saw that global travel was starting to become more convenient and affordable and accessible thanks to innovations in jet planes. This meant more Americans were going abroad and developing food cravings that they couldn't quite satisfy at home. Trader Joe's unique product lines were intended to be the solution to this problem. Unfortunately for Joe, his new direction wasn't an instant hit, but with a little time, he was able to find success with two major products: wine and granola. In the 1960s, California had fair trade laws that essentially made it so all grocery stores had to sell imported wines at the same price. Basically, this was to prevent the large retailers from edging out smaller businesses. Without the laws, the bigger players could afford to sell wine at a slight loss to make their stores more appealing, thus drawing business away from the mom and pop shops and starving them out. Joe discovered
quite literally being a monopoly.
However, the prices of foreign wines were set by the price posted by the wine's importer, aka the middleman. So Joe just cut him out. He worked his magic and found an importer who was willing to list wine at a huge markdown just for him. This allowed Joe to skirt the fair trade laws, and his stores became the go-to location for a wide selection of cheap foreign wines. Over time, this reputation became a core part of Trader Joe's identity, and both the customers and employees at Joe's started to fancy themselves as wine experts. As it turns out, there's a lot of overlap between self-proclaimed wine connoisseurs and health-conscious consumers, which is weird, but it led to Joe discovering the profitability of granola in the 70s. Not only did Trader Joe's granola help solidify the brand as a healthier market, but it became the first private label item sold at the store. This was huge. Private label or store brand products are products that are exclusive to their retailers, unlike national brand products like Coca-Cola and Lay's, which are sold everywhere. Private label goods aren't
a private label like around us would be like Great Value stuff.
Produced, however, by the store brands that sell them. The stores just buy the products wholesale in bulk from a supplier and slap their branding on them. And private label goods are basically all Trader Joe's sells now, because Joe learned that these items can be sold much cheaper than their competitors while still remaining profitable. They're also great for building up brand loyalty as long as they're of an acceptable quality. This isn't an issue for TJ's because old Joe built the brand on a foundation of quality products, quality service, and quality of life. Now, obviously, I've teased ruining this man's legacy earlier in the intro, but by all accounts, Trader Joe, the man, was a real stand-up entrepreneur. Sure, the whole tiki appropriation thing is worth a strong side-eye, but everything I've read about Joe points to him earnestly wanting to nourish local communities and celebrate international culture. Starting in his Pronto Market days, he was paying his staff higher wages than his competitors. His thought was that he wanted to spend his working days with good and interesting people, and quality employees deserved quality wages. Even as the economy shifted over the years, he paid individual crew members Californian family income levels. If you worked for Joe, your family could get by just fine on a single salary. So working at Joe's wasn't just a job, it was a career. This was just one example of why Joe was the sort of guy to give his staff and his customers everything but the bagel. Even after he sold Trader Joe's to Aldi Nord in 1979, he stayed on as CEO until 1988, ensuring that TJ's rare company culture remained intact as the brand went national. Bear in mind that national was only 19 stores at the time, but for the most part, his successors have continued to nurture that.
I mean, national literally just means more than one store outside of the state. And I mean, yeah, it was based in California, but eventually he would have at least gone one somewhere else. and that's all he needed to be counted as national.
That community
I think.
forward spirit, even as they've expanded Joe's to the 608 locations it has today. When their
good
third
lord.
CEO, Dan Bain, took over, he made it a point to codify Joe's business philosophy into 7 core company values that every crew member to this day is trained to live by. Yes, even Marley. I know because I quizzed him after he tried to sell me on ONOG. Blech. If you're thinking, hey, is indoctrinating workers
That's
with
a little
7
something.
abstract principles giving Lumen from Severance, I'd say, that would explain why Marley is hawking that chunky vegan oat nog so hard. The man's trying to earn himself a brioche Liège waffle party, you know what I'm saying? But these values are where TJ's starts to get a little culty.
Here we go.
Bain went on the record calling these 7 values we preach to our people. Now, I'm under the impression that during Bain's tenure,
bit of
these were
phrasing.
still actually mostly wholesome. But what are these famous values? Having integrity, being product driven, providing wow experiences, hating bureaucracy, treating the store as a brand, being a national neighborhood company, and a $5 word known as Kaizen. Now, a lot of these are pretty
Kaizen?
straightforward and track with Joe Colombe's original core values. When Bain says integrity, he's talking about treating people with respect, treating people how you would like to be treated. Standard golden rule stuff that aligns with the
Yeah.
way Joe paid his staff. Being
Okay, that's
product driven
fine.
is
Yeah.
all about the quality and uniqueness of their products. Apparently, TJ's product developers still travel all over the world to get ideas for new offerings, and they take
Oh,
their product
wow.
integrity pretty seriously too. According to Trader Joe's official
Okay.
podcast, the new item taste test panels are highly critical. They also seem to go overboard
See,
on the security
check.
as to make them impossible for suppliers to infiltrate and influence. The one time that a photojournalist was invited to one, the tasters all had to keep their identities a secret under paper bag masks on the chance that vendors could trace the photos back and bribe Joe's Kingmaker.
I love it.
Creating wow experiences is where we start to get into murky territory with these values. Mostly because I think this is where Dan Bain could have benefited from consulting a dictionary for their names rather than riffing off the top of his head. This value is really about the experience that turns running errands at Trader Joe's into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Joe's has fine-tuned the novelty of shopping in their stores for novelties. Yes, the discovery of global-inspired flavors feels like a treasure hunt, but it goes even further than that. TJ's is artfully engineered to give you this experience. For example,
The
its
all
freezer
blue is
section
real.
holds many of their most iconic products, from their orange chicken to their kimbap to their pizzas imported directly from Italy. It's important to them that
wow.
the barrier to browsing is as low as possible. Literally. At traditional grocery outlets, freezer sections require customers to open up a big old freezer door, which means it's not as easy to peruse as all the store's offerings. But at Trader
True.
Joe's, the freezers are wide open and low to the ground. This invites customers to impulsively add more items to their cart. Oh, just
No, so it's kind of like the way some meat is offered in like a Walmart. You can walk by and just grab something.
one more beef and queso bowl. Ooh, and those friggin' feta caramelized onion pastry bites I can't stop eating, but our 40 billion calories are so delicious. Wow experience also
Can't be that
encapsulates
much.
customer service. It's why Marley has a little bell he can ring that summons more eager, friendly crew members when you tell him that you can't find the taco seasoning. It's also why Marley won't shut up about the incredible strawberry jalapeno crisp in your cart, no matter how badly you want to parry and get out of there with minimal conversation. Employees are encouraged to not only talk to you about the items in your cart, but make you feel good about having purchased them. It's like the
I mean, there's one thing they could actually do about that, and to put like a something on the handle of the cart, or maybe like a small sign that says, "Yes, I would like help," or, "No, I don't want to talk." Okay, and I guess that would actually just be it. Two things.
modern day equivalent of a butler saying, very good, sir, after you've asked them to bring you a glass of brandy in the study. They want you to feel like a genius for selecting just the right cheese. They know that you're more likely to return and buy more if you feel confident in the aftermath of your purchase. So even if you're just grabbing some cold cuts and grape juice on your lunch break, Marley is gonna make you feel like you're Batman sliding into a well-tailored suit as he bags your goods.
Yes, sir.
Trader
Very good,
Joe's
sir.
also claims to hate bureaucracy, favoring relaxed vibes and a less corporate atmosphere. They instead prefer the Japanese business philosophy of Kaizen. Kai meaning change or social media manager, and Zen
Oh,
meaning good
okay.
or for the better. To practice Kaizen, TJ's
Change for the
aims
better.
to continuously
Not
change
bad.
and develop for the betterment of their employees, customers, and communities. This also means continuously improving their product offerings and is the reason why your favorite snacks disappear forever and are replaced by something almost as good. And you're just expected
That's
to
a bit
say
of a
thank
shame.
you for the emotional growth. Forever in my heart, Jozos. Never forget. Joe's also believes that the store itself is the brand,
Better
not their
than
individual
Oreos.
products. By immersing you in their themed decor, Hawaiian shirts, and private label items, Trader Joe's branding is the star of the grocery shopping experience. They even sell a coffee table art book dedicated to all the bespoke art featured in their stores. Honestly,
Oh,
to me,
look at
that
that,
sounds like
nice.
the most interesting gift you can get for the least interesting person in your life. So that leaves us with the last and maybe most complicated of TJ's 7 values, being a national/neighborhood company. No matter how large the company grows or how many stores they set up, each Trader Joe's you walk into should feel like a homey part of your community. They basically want to be the Cheers of national grocery store chains. But instead of
Okay,
Sam
that could
Lone
be
pouring you a
interesting.
cold brewski after a long day, it's Marley, complimenting your choice in frozen tikka masala before running your debit card. This, unlike the other golden rules, really does sound kind of golden. But the
Really is
national/neighborhood thing
golden.
is also where things get a little dicey, because TJ's doesn't just adapt to neighborhoods, it signals something to them. And one of the things it signals
yeah?
is that property values are going up. Multiple
Oh,
studies have found that when a
oh.
TJ's opens in a neighborhood, property values increase at an accelerated rate. A 2017 Zillow study, for example, found that between 1997 and 2014, homes near a Trader Joe's appreciated an average of 148%, while
Holy
the
damn.
typical US home appreciated by only 71% over the same period. Even more notable, the study analyzed store opening dates and found that TJ's wasn't drafting off of already hot neighborhoods, which means there was a causality between the opening of a TJ's and the rise in property values. In
Oh,
other
good
words,
damn.
Trader Joe's didn't follow the money. The money followed Trader Joe's.
They
Somewhere
Pied
out there,
Piper.
a real estate agent is legally required to say a place is within walking distance of Trader Joe's, click their heels, and spin 3 times before showing a listing. Now, again, rising
Okay,
property
damn.
values can be a good thing, right? Sure they can. If, and this is a big if, you already
Biggest
own
if.
a home. If you're renting, haha, get ready for a 6% rent increase next year. And if
Oh,
you're looking
God.
to buy, well, now you have to compete with developers, landlords, and investors who are also eyeing that lovely house on the corner just 2 blocks away from that Trader Joe's. The problem isn't just the rent either. Once they're in those lower income neighborhoods, less affluent residents tend to not shop there as much anyway, because TJ's doesn't have all the necessities that people need. Instead,
Oh,
all
yeah,
those bells and
that's
whistles
actually
sort of
kinda
foods they
true.
sell invite people of a higher socioeconomic status to shop there, which only increases this perception of gentrification.
Gentrification,
Trader Joe's
that's
may
the
not
word.
come in and bulldoze entire neighborhoods, but it does sort of signal that the bulldozers are already on their way. So it makes
Oh,
sense that some
crap.
communities have pushed back against new stores. People are right to worry that they may get priced out of their neighborhood as a side effect of TJ's. And listen, the pushback
That's not
matters.
good.
This is something that the company has occasionally shown it understands. In at least one highly publicized case, TJ's did something that's pretty rare for a national retail company. They walked away from a potentially profitable situation. In
Oh,
Portland, Oregon,
they
plans to open a
stepped
TJ's
back?
in a historically black neighborhood were met with protests from residents who feared the store would accelerate gentrification, causing displacement without actually serving the underserved people who live there. To their credit, Trader Joe's listened.
Huh.
Rather than forcing the project through, they abandoned it entirely and issued a
Wow.
statement that was kind of refreshing. We run neighborhood stores. If a neighborhood doesn't want Trader Joe's, we understand.
Shit, if this is actually a cult, sign me up.
And
I'm
we
joking.
won't open the store in question. But despite that one instance, Trader Joe's popularity is only going up as the 7 values bring in more and more members into this cult. As a business, TJ's has to grow and expand. And as it spreads, more and more neighborhoods will find themselves having to fight back against Trader Joe's. So, is TJ's a cult? Oh, yes. But as long as TJ's
Like,
keeps
ironic.
listening to and actually serving local communities without forcing people out just because some people can't live without their orange chicken, they'll at least avoid becoming Trader Joe's for now. But
Oh,
hey, that's
level.
just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. And hey,
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.